So the first series we're going to talk about in the Eastern Conference is the Boston Bruins versus the Florida Panthers. And I feel like we've said every good thing we can about the Bruins this season. I mean, they finished with, did they end up finishing with 65 wins?
I think it was 63 wins.
They finished with 65. They did. They
Five.
did
Okay.
win out. So, I mean, we've said a lot about the Bruins, like I've said. They were playing great prior to the trade deadline. Then they brought in Dmitry Orlov and Garnet Hathaway. Then they brought in Tyler Bertuzzi. They got Pavel Zacha last offseason. And the Panthers, surprisingly, really didn't make any move of note during the season, but their big move came last offseason when they acquired Matthew Tkachuk.
That's right.
And, well, I'm going to keep this theme going. The Bruins finished the season 15-1-0 in their last 16. And the Panthers, this one got a little weird when I did it. So I'm going to say two different stats. They were 11-5-2 in their final 18, but they were 6-5-1 in their final 12. So they did get hot there for a while, but they clearly cooled down come the end of the season. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this at all because I really don't think the Panthers are going to win. I have the Bruins in 5. What do you got, Liam?
Yeah, I put Bruins in five on the bracket prior to the start of the episode. But again, I look back to the Lightning taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets back in 2019. I mean, that was a series that was pretty much as much of a foregone conclusion as I think me and you are predicting this one to be. And I think that the Panthers are no slouch. And I think although they have not reached their expectations this year, I mean, it's ironic, right? Because you have the Panthers, who won the President's Trophy last year, being the first team in the Atlantic, and now you have the Bruins winning the President's Trophy this year. The Panthers won their first round matchup. I think that the Bruins will win as well, and they'll win in 5 games. I don't think it will be a cakewalk, but I think that they'll win in 5 games.
And I didn't even mention this yet, but Linus Allmark had, honestly, let's face facts here. He had an outstanding season. 50 games played, if I remember correctly, a 938 save percentage, which beat out Shesterkin last year, and a 1.89 goals against average. So he was a major factor in the Bruins finishing with 65 wins. But you want to talk about a hot goalie. I mean, that's it.
Right. And you know what? If you look at the other side to the Florida Panthers, their goaltending situation is a little bit interesting as well because Alex Lyon has kind of led them in the final few games of the regular season. And I don't think you want to go into game one against the Boston Bruins with Alex Lyon back there. So again, Sergei Bobrovsky, Spencer Knight, I think is supposed to at some point in the near future come out of the player assistance program. So their goaltending is again a little bit up in the air, but I would expect Boston to win this series. I don't think Goldmark's going to be as good as he was in the regular season. Again, look at Florida last year. They faced the Washington Capitals in the first round of the playoffs. The Capitals, who are this season, a year removed, are not in the playoff race and are undergoing a rebuild. The Capitals took the President's Trophy winning Panthers to 6 games last year and made that a decently close series. That's why I just don't want to write off Florida. But again, Boston is the most dominant team we've seen in quite a while, probably for regular season purposes in our lifetime, the best team, from start to finish in the regular season. So you can't undermine that. You can't undermine Linus Solmark, like you were talking about, the tremendous head coaching of Jim Montgomery, and of course Patrice Bergeron as well, who came back for one more year alongside David Krejci, and they really created something special. Not to mention that they get Taylor Hall back off of the injured reserve. Dmitry Orlov has come in and fit like a glove. I mean, it's been an embarrassment of riches for the Boston Bruins this year. It really has.
Yes, it has been. And I knew you were going to bring up the 2019 Lightning against the Blue Jackets. And while that did flash through my mind for a split second, the only thing that I found the difference in immediately was Boston has a Stanley Cup to go back on prior to a collapse like that, a hypothetical collapse like that back in 2011. The Lightning, when they got swept against the Blue Jackets, there was no championship there. They had one finals appearance, but they didn't get the job done against Chicago. And two, to go back to your point about this being the greatest team possibly ever in our lifetimes, yeah, I would have to agree with you. The only team that I would really put even close to them would be the unfortunate lockout shortened season 2012-13 Chicago Blackhawks, where, I mean, they were pretty much the best team from start to finish that entire season. And this is basically version 2.0 of that.
Right. Agreed.
So Bruins in 5.
Yep.